Hi, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here today to talk with you about Dominate Solutions and Rob Griffin. My name is Cheryl Moody. I have run my own fractional CIO services practice for the last 10 years, and I basically deliver IT leadership to small companies, small to medium sized companies. Usually they're private equity owned, and I mostly do that on a fractional basis. However, I have been interim CIO several times as well, which is really more of a full time role. So that's been my background.
And how long have you worked with Rob, and what's kept that relationship going?
Yeah, so I have known Rob since the early 2000s. He came in to a company that I was the seated CIO for when I was full-time CIO back in 2008. So it's been a very, very long time and a long relationship with Rob. And he delivered a Great Plains upgrade for me and the company. It was a very critical project that we worked on together. He just did a phenomenal job. So when you find people who can deliver great work consistently, you stay connected with those people because you tend to take them from one place to the next. I have a tremendous level of respect for Rob and his team. He finds really quality people. So that's how I got to know Rob and why we've stayed connected.
What's an example where Dominique's structured approach made a real difference?
I think where they start is the key, right? And that key is they start with learning your business and understanding your pain points. So they have a clear definition of what problem they're trying to solve. So it really is very foundational and it starts there. And many companies will say they do that. It's the first thing I do when I get to a new organization that I'm going to be a fractional or interim CIO for. I go learn the business before I start worrying about systems. Because if you don't know the business problem you're trying to solve, no amount of technology is going to solve it. So that to me sets them apart.
Where do most implementations go wrong, and how does Dominate help reduce those risks?
ERPs are very difficult programs. I would consider them to be complex programs for sure. So there are a lot of angles where things can go wrong. Specifically, if you don't have good internal leadership within the company and have strong executive sponsorship, that is a way that things can go wrong that has nothing to do with the partner you select to help you implement. But beyond that, you have to be prompted by your partner who is the expert in the technology to help you think not just about what your needs are for today, but help you think about what your needs are in the future. And you want to plan for and design for the future. And once you get scope defined, then and only then should you select a go live date. Many companies will come in and say, well, we want to be live by XYZ date. And then they go about scoping, and the scope turns out to be too large to fit into that timeline. So that's two of the things that Dominate Solutions and Rob specifically are very good at helping clients think about the future and make sure scope is very clearly defined before you commit to a go live date.
How, in the past, how have you decided when to bring in Dominate for you?
It's because there's an ERP implementation that needs to be done. And it's really important when you're doing these kind of complex technology implementations to select your partner and bring them into the discovery alongside you and the company that you're going to be doing the implementation for, because then they have the context and the history as well as you do. So it's really important to bring in Dominate. As soon as you start thinking about vendor selection, thinking about which ERP do I want to implement, it's really good to bring in a partner like Dominate to help you navigate that, one. And two, then they have the context and the understanding of all of the business pain points that you're trying to solve with this implementation.
What's usually happening in a business when they realize they need someone like Dominate Solutions?
Well, typically, you start hiring a lot more physical people in the accounting teams, especially if that's what's driving the ERP implementation. So you've got a lot more people to keep up with the workload is one driver. Another driver might be many construction companies start off and they're on QuickBooks Desktop because QuickBooks Desktop, it's inexpensive, easy to implement, really intuitive. You can do a lot of things that you wouldn't necessarily be able to do with a professional ERP platform. But also, clients can outgrow QuickBooks Desktop in terms of file size. It's really important to manage the file size of a QuickBooks Desktop implementation because those files can corrupt if they get too large. That's really the catalyst usually. Either they're hiring a bunch of people just to keep up with the workload and they need some automation behind the processes, or they've just outgrown QuickBooks Desktop.
From your perspective as a CIO, what makes a partner worth trusting long term?
Well, it's integrity for starters, right? And I think integrity means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. But for me, my definition is if my partner surprises me with bad news and they don't deliver that bad news in a timely manner, I like to say bad news never gets better with time. Then you're sitting on a problem and things are spinning and you're getting later and later as the days tick by. And Rob and his team have always been really good. Nobody's perfect, right? But his team is really good at taking ownership of where they've made mistakes, where they could have done things better. So for me, the integrity is what makes me bring a partner from one project or client to the next. And Rob's team has a lot of integrity.
You almost answered my next question. So, if you had to describe Rob or Dominate in one sentence, what would you say?
They focus on learning your business, delivering results, and they lead with integrity.